As of right now, I get it. Bitcoin is doing very well, recently hit a new all-time high. People are loving Bitcoin as of right now. But does that mean I would buy that instead of XCN? Absolutely not. Currently, I would rather buy a bunch of XCN instead of even just a single cent of Bitcoin, even though that's not financial advice. Now, you may be thinking, okay, what is the reason for even doing that? Take a look at how well Bitcoin did. And I'm totally aware of the fact that many of my friends out there who are only holding Bitcoin, they're in this very happy mood because they take a look at many people out there who are only holding altcoins and they're saying, wow, take a look at your portfolio. They're, showing off. They're saying all this type of stuff. They're saying, oh, take a look at our Bitcoin. We're in profit and all this. I'm totally aware of that. But really, we have to take a look at that already happened, right? We have to take a look at what could potentially happen in the future. Could Bitcoin reach $300,000 during this bull run? Maybe, but that's only slightly less than a 3x from here. XCN going to the price of $1 is around a 50x from here. What is more logical to do a 3x in the next 6 to 10 months? Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin can't do that, but I should actually rephrase that, right? What could feel easier, right? I think, in my opinion, hypothetically, something like XCN, market cap is way lower, doesn't require as much volume to push it that high. Not to mention as well, we have to take a look at how, again, if I'm trying to look for hypothetical upside, why would I enter into Bitcoin right now? It's like, for instance, imagine if XCN randomly, right? I'm just saying in a make-believe scenario, went to the price of 33 cents. And I said, you know what? I'm going to FOMO into XCN because I think it's going to go to the price of $1. What? Why not hypothetically before? You know what I mean? This is just my point of view. So, personally for me, the way I view it is that there is always going to be a moment in time for me to not necessarily FOMO into everything when things are pumping, right? Or at least when they just reach the new all-time high. It just would make no sense to me because I'm in here for hypothetical upside. If I'm just looking to break even or to do a 20, 30%, whatever, I'd probably be in gold or S&P 500 or get into some random stocks, which I find maybe a little bit boring. This is something that I would do instead. But then I'm not looking for that, right? I'm looking for cryptocurrencies here. So I kind of feel like, you know what? When it comes to what is more logical, I get it. Bitcoin feels quote unquote safer. But then I would much rather believe in XCN as of right now. And here's the thing. Some people out there, they like to say, oh, we don't have much time left. Some people may be thinking that way because they may be thinking, oh, we're already nearly in June. So basically, that's already half of 2025, right? People may be thinking, oh man, it's nearly 2026 now and all this. How is there any time for altcoins to really do well this year? Well, again, I have to remind myself, we're not talking about gold, S&P 500, and some random stocks. Let's say in the world of gold, right? Like for instance, could you imagine how many years it would take for the price of gold to do a 10x from here? Who knows? People are taking a look at sometimes in the case of decades, maybe, right? Some people may be speculating that. I'm not saying necessarily that's true, but I'm just saying. In the world of cryptocurrencies, it does not necessarily work that way. I mean, just take a look at the S&P 500. How long is that going to take to do a 10x from here, So the way I view it is that in the world of cryptocurrencies, even the largest cryptocurrency of all time, currently Bitcoin, take a look at how fast that moved, right? And that's the biggest project out there currently. So if you think about that, even if the largest project out there moved that quickly, recovered that quickly in such a relatively short amount of time, really, it's not like it took 5 years to go from the price of $100,000 to like $105,000, right? It's not like it took that long, So you got to imagine that. During a fully fledged type of altcoin season, how long would it take for XCN to do a 5x, a 10x? Take a look back in history. Not too long ago, take a look at how fast XCN pumped. Did it take 10 years for that to happen? Hypothetically, no, right? I mean, just take a look at the price chart. So in my opinion, in the world of cryptocurrencies, it may seem like a short time frame, but a lot can happen during that time frame. You know what I mean? This is just my perspective. Not to mention as well, if we take a look at something like XCN, when I consider all that, it just gives me great confidence that, you know what? Yes, I get it. $1 is still a ways from here, but I just don't see why it would take like 20 or 30 years, if that makes sense. But again, only time will tell. I can't guarantee anything. But the way I view it too is that when it comes to Ripple and Stellar, they're not really making large moves either when it comes to like, XRP and XLM in terms of the hypothetical price movements, right? They're kind of like stabilizing. And we're seeing many of that, go on when it comes to altcoins as of right now. I don't think we're in a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Right now, it's Bitcoin's time. It's his time to shine. But what happens if that Bitcoin dominance drops? What happens if a lot of liquidity flows into altcoins? What happens if that retail FOMO hops into, altcoins, right? Like what we saw back in 2021. What would happen to altcoins? Maybe something that could be special, but again, only time will tell. There's no guarantees here. And when I take a look at something like Onyx, it's not a bad project. They're at least trying to do things, right? Trying to launch the mainnet of Goliath. Who knows if it's ever going to be a very good layer 1 blockchain? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm just saying at least they're trying to do something. Onyx necessarily isn't trying to reinvent the wheel. Like making a layer 1 blockchain, that's not trying to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? Really nothing special, but it's good enough for what it is. And not to mention as well, projects that are focused on like global trade and finance and, the payments market, they are staples in the world of cryptocurrencies. What do I mean by that? Because oftentimes when people want to join the world of cryptocurrencies, a lot of cases I've seen it's because of like, meme coins, AI, they like, layer 1 blockchains or whatever. They like NFTs, blockchain gaming, DeFi. And number 7, in no specific order, right? Payments, global trade and finance, of course, those 2 major projects are Ripple and Stellar. Those are the staples. But then now, because there's no more nonsense going on, hypothetically, hopefully forever moving forward when it comes to the Ripple and SEC case type of, deal, right? When it comes to that, right, now because there's no more of this kind of negative sentiment and whatnot, a lot of these other alternatives to XRP and XLM, much like XCN, much like XDC, much like ZBCN, which I made a very good call on, by the way, but I'm just saying, now they're beginning to be recognized as being one of these major, competitors, or should I say major alternatives to something like XRP and XLM. And XCN, it's kind of proven that it kind of did that not too long ago. Yes, I get it. It hasn't made the moves recently of like a ZBCN, for instance. But I do believe that better days are ahead, and I believe that it's one of the staples that people usually focus on. So I don't think it's going to be left behind. I don't think it's going to be something that people forget about. And this is why I still believe in the idea of a dollar. Now, it's going to take time, though, right? I'm not saying too much time, maybe, but it's not going to happen overnight, in theory, because even though in the world of cryptocurrencies, things move very quickly, I don't think we're going to see a dollar when it comes to XCM like tomorrow, for instance, right? Or next week. This is just my perspective. It's going to take some time, but I don't think hypothetically it's going to be too much time. But in the meantime, I'm going to control what I can control, which is just accumulating, holding, and just waiting. Literally, that's it. That's the only thing I can control. And again, a dollar, I don't see why not. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Bonnie the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.